Do you practice gratitude? Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Finding Freedom podcast, where we talk about how to feel more calm, connected, heart centered, grateful, abundant, and empowered so you can find true freedom and create the life you were meant to be living. Today on the podcast, we are up to part 3 of this 4-part series. So, as you may be aware, if you've been following along, this series is based around the Hooponopono, which is a prayer, a Hawaiian prayer that has 4 different parts to it. It goes like this: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And last year in 2023, I was inspired to create 4 breathwork practices based around each of those mantras. So the first one is based around repentance, which is the mantra, I'm sorry. Then we have please forgive me, which obviously that practice is around forgiveness. We talked about that last week. And this week we'll be talking about thank you, the third part of the prayer that is all around gratitude. So that's the breath practice that I created for this particular part of the prayer. Of course, the last one is I love you, which is around love, which we'll talk about next week. So if you haven't checked out part 1 or part 2, please go back and do that. Each of the episodes is not just about my breathwork practice. This is not with the intention of getting you to purchase my breathwork practice. This is with the intention to introduce you to this most incredible, beautiful prayer. And this prayer is all about healing yourself. So we've got so much healing that we've got to do personally. And if we each work on this healing individually, we're going to heal the world. So it's really important that we work with phrases like these, prayers like these, because they're really going to help us to release a lot and to heal. And if we do it in a breath practice, it takes on a different form of healing. It creates healing in a different way through the power of the breath. And if you've breathed with me before, you'll know how powerful breath work is. So it's not just about my breath practice, it's about introducing you to this incredibly powerful prayer. And it's also, and you'll know if you've watched part 1 or part 2, the discussions center around the different phrases in the prayer or mantras and how you can go sort of deeper into these and looking at how you use these in your life. And do they trigger you in any way? Do they bring things up for you when you use these words? Or do you avoid using these words? Or do you use these words in a way that isn't serving you or creates a negative emotion in you? Or, yeah, does it bring something up for you? So this week, we're talking all about thank you. Now, the last 2, I'm sorry and please forgive me, these 2 phrases, especially spoken or thought about in everyday life, if you're saying I'm sorry to someone, or if you're saying, if you're asking someone for their forgiveness, they can be hard phrases to say. I'm sorry tends to slip out of the mouth way too frequently, especially for us women. So those 2 phrases can become quite triggering. They can be quite triggering because there can be a lot of energy behind them, a lot of healing to do behind them. And that's the power in these practices, right? We go through these steps. So when we get up to thank you, especially if you do the breathwork practices I've created and you work through the first one, I'm sorry, you work through the second one the week later, please forgive me. And then week 3, you do the thank you practice. You're releasing different things in each of these practices. And by the time you get to thank you or gratitude, you will have created space from the first two practices. And this is really going to help you to bring things in a different way. So this is what we're going to talk about more today. But before we go there, before we start having this deeper conversation around the words thank you and around gratitude, let's just be with these words for a moment, shall we? Let's just feel into them. Hopefully, you're listening to this in a safe space where you're not, say, driving. If that's the case, take a seat, just relax, take a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, just blink your eyes closed. If you're not in that space, of course, please don't close your eyes. Just take those few breaths. Just settle in to wherever you are. Obviously, stay focused if you're driving on the road, but you can still take a few nice deep breaths. And let's just be with these words for a moment. Let's just feel into them. Thank you. What comes up for you when you say these words or when you think these words? Thank you. Maybe a memory comes up. Maybe it was the last time you used these words, who you spoke them to. Maybe you regularly thank a particular person, or maybe you are thinking about thanking a person, but you didn't. Maybe you feel a lot of gratitude to someone and you want to tell them. Maybe you have told them, maybe you haven't. What are you grateful for? What comes up with these words? Thank you. So, as mentioned, the theme of this third line of the Hooponopono is gratitude. Those first two practices, and if you say this prayer in its entirety, so if you say, maybe you sit down in meditation and you say the whole thing, you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you repeat that over and over again. Maybe you've got some mala beads and you go through the entire set of mala as you recite this prayer to yourself. So as you're saying those first two practices, as you're saying those first two lines, I'm sorry, please forgive me, you actually move through a lot of energy. And by the time you get to thank you, you can open up into a greater space, this space of gratitude. Especially if you work with this prayer and you sit and say it over and over again, you may start to feel the energy moving. Your subconscious mind may choose to focus in on, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then it might move to thank you. And then it might move to I love you. So you'll feel the energy move. If you do the breath practices, however, because they are broken up week by week, then you'll really move a lot of energy in those first two practices. So we will have created a lot of space come week 3. But regardless of how you practice the Ho'oponopono, you're going to create space and move a lot of energy. And so with this gratitude piece, you can start to change the space within you, that internal space, and you can start to recreate it. You can start to deepen into transformation, because this really is going to bring healing, which brings transformation. However, gratitude can also bring up more energy to move as well, because it could be connected to many things. And this could be where some triggers come in for you as you're sort of becoming aware of gratitude and thank you and what that means to you. Take the example of compliments. Can you actually accept a compliment? What's your reaction when someone gives you a compliment? I know for myself, for many years, I could not receive a compliment. I think about it and how silly that was, or I think it's silly, but it's not. It's just where I was at that particular time in my life. And I had to be really conscious about changing it. It only happened because I consciously chose to accept compliments and to make an effort to accept them. So for many years, when somebody would give me a compliment, oh, you look really nice. Yeah, well, I've just got my hair done. Or so that's like making an excuse or a reason as to why I could look nice. Like I can't just say, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I would always have to have a reason and explain to someone why they think that I look nice because that's not the norm for me, right? That was like my belief. So I needed to sort of justify why they were able to say or give me that compliment. Sometimes, if they would say to me, you look really nice, and you've probably heard this come out of a load of women's mouths. Oh, no, I'm super bloated today, or these pants, no, they make me look fat. I don't like the way I look in these clothes. I've heard those sorts of comments way too often out of women's mouths where they just plain flat out reject the compliment. Someone says you look nice and they say, "No, these pants make me look so fat." It's Yeah, it's a really, really common thing. And once you become aware of it and you start to tune into it, you'll start to notice it more and more. So do start to register that particular experience in life and start to notice, if you give a compliment to another person, notice how they react to the compliment and notice how that makes you feel when they reject your compliment. Like, I know for me, if I give someone a compliment and they reject it, it makes me feel sad. Not because they rejected my compliment, but because I'm aware that they're unable to receive it. So it involves having a lot of compassion for that person as well. And maybe I'll find myself saying it again just to reiterate, no, no, you do. You look really beautiful. I really like, maybe it gives them some more detail. I really like how you've tied your hair up that way today, or it really opens your eyes, or that color really suits you. So basically that was my experience. I was someone who couldn't receive a compliment, and I'd either put up a reason as to why they would possibly want to give me a compliment, or I would flat out reject it. And so, through this realization myself of why can't I receive a compliment, and sometimes I don't actually remember the day when I became aware of it. Maybe someone said to me, just receive the compliment. Maybe it was something like that. I don't know. But something triggered me to start paying attention to the way I receive compliments because, yeah, I started to notice that I wasn't receiving them well. So I wanted to change that. So anytime someone would say something about me, I would just say thank you. And it would take every ounce of me not to reject it or give a reason why. I would just sort of put on a fake smile and just go, thank you. And it was tough at first. But then the more I did it, the more I was like, oh, this is becoming easier and easier and easier. So, yeah, just start to notice how thank you can be something to do with receiving. And if you're unable to accept a compliment and say thank you to the compliment, what is it about yourself that you're not able to love and accept? And what about receiving, And are you finding that because you reject things, that you're also not having certain things come into your life because you're rejecting them? I know I'm still deeply working on how I receive things in other ways. I think that can be multifaceted and multi-layered in all the areas of our lives. And it can start very simply by learning to receive a compliment. So you can see how this may provoke more layers to come away, right? So, what else is gratitude opening you up to become aware of? I would say the other thing I mentioned earlier is acceptance of self, right? If you can accept a compliment, then that shows that you accept yourself. And I think even if you put it on at first, you'll get to that place where that thank you becomes second nature and then you actually start believing. Radical, hey? You actually start believing when people say you look good. And then you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, I do look good today. Oh, these pants do look good on me. Oh, this is a really great color for me. Oh, I like it when I put my hair up like that. Right. So you start to accept yourself. And that is what gratitude can really open you up to. Appreciation of yourself and all that's in your life is another huge part of it, right? That you'll start to become aware of these things in your life and you'll start to really appreciate them. Right now, I'm in just the most beautiful environment and I'm just so grateful to be in this beautiful environment. I feel really loved and really fortunate, really blessed and really supported. And I don't know how I got so lucky. Is it where I want to be in life? No, there are so many things that I want to improve in my life and things I want to see and things I want to do and places I want to be. But right in this moment, I'm so grateful for where I am because I am just so blessed. So, can you open yourself up to that? Absolutely, you can. And this is what gratitude is going to help you become aware of. So, the third thing that I would probably point out would be abundance as well. And again, connected to this ability to receive. But if you want to go deeper into it, it could be financial abundance. It could be romantic abundance. It could be, just things going your way, things unfolding in a way that is right for you. Just getting what you want. That's abundance. Having what you want, having what you need, being always provided for in all of the ways, and not wanting for more and not needing more, always having enough, which you probably already do. You maybe are just not saying thank you for it enough so you don't feel abundant because you really do have to feel it before you have it. So that's what gratitude practices and opening up to the word gratitude and thank you in this prayer really helps you to achieve. So the breathwork practice that I created, the thank you or gratitude breathwork practice, is another healing practice. And working with this phrase or this mantra will help you to rewire the brain. All the practices do this on different levels, though. But this piece is all about bringing more beauty in, but more importantly, seeing the beauty that's already there. That's really important, right? You got to you got to look around your world and just stop for a moment right now and take a look around. What do you see? How are you blessed in this moment right now? Is it with ample food in the fridge and in the cupboards? Is it with clean drinking water, filtered, that tastes good, that's free of chemicals? Is it Wi-Fi? Is it a computer or, all the technology that you have in your life? Is it nature? Is it animals? Is it people? Is it, what is it that's surrounding you right now in this moment? Maybe you're at work, maybe you're in a beautiful car. Just take your surroundings in right now and how can you feel blessed in this moment? think we often forget to take these present moment blessings. We really do skate over them a lot because we're so focused on getting stuff done. Well, maybe I'm just talking for myself, but I'm pretty sure everyone's the same. Most people, anyway. So, what's a life without gratitude? What would life look like if you couldn't open your eyes and appreciate what is right in front of you? And that's what not being in the present moment is. That's what you might be doing most of the time. Then the other thing I'll challenge you to do, and this is where the gratitude practice grows, is to also see everything as a blessing, to be thankful for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, if you want to label them that way. I don't think anything's good or bad or whatever. It's just, it is what it is, right? But we tend to say, oh, that's undesirable. That means that's bad. That's desirable. So that's good. So if you want to label them that way, that's fine. But can you feel grateful for it all, regardless of where you are with the things you have in your life? Can you be grateful for obviously all the physical possessions, right? The car, the house, the job, the clothes, the shoes, the gym membership, the money, family, children, pets. I think I've mentioned most of those before. Can you be grateful for your location? Even if there's something you hate about your location. I used to live in Victoria and I really didn't like the weather there. But I also tried to be in a space where I was like, okay, while I'm here, I'm going to try and find the beauty in this weather. How can I do that? How can I be grateful for it? Maybe you're in a cramped apartment. You don't want to live there. You want to live somewhere bigger. How can you be grateful for what you have right now in this moment? It doesn't mean you're not going to create something better, but how can you be grateful for it right now? The experiences and the opportunities you've had, how can you be grateful for these? Good, bad, ugly, whatever they are. Things you've done, things you've achieved, things you've learned, and things you continue to do and achieve and learn today. And then don't forget our connections and where our love comes from, which is usually people, friends, family, pets, random people that come in and give you compliments, God, or any other word that you like to address that as. Let's take that one step deeper, that layer deeper. Maybe there are things you've had in your life that you wish you didn't have in your life. A breakup, a job loss, a friendship loss, family loss, pet loss, family disconnections or arguments, no money, no business, opportunities or experiences gone bad, illness, disease, constant illness that won't heal, symptoms you don't like to feel, emotions that you don't like to feel, anything you can think of that you're like, this is shit and I wish it wasn't in my life. Why is it so important to be grateful for the shit stuff? Because it creates a mindset shift. It's so important to create the mindset shift. But also, these shit times, they're the ones that help you to grow and change. You don't grow and change when you're in that lush environment where everything's perfect and happy and rosy. And when is that ever the case anyway? Nothing in life is ever perfect and rosy. There's always ups and downs and whatever. It's how you perceive it, right? But there are those things that really knock us to the floor. And it's those things that really push you to grow and change. They really push you outside your comfort zone. And that's when true growth happens and true rewiring of the mindset, especially when you can see the something like a terrible diagnosis as a blessing, or a job loss as a blessing, or heartbreak as a blessing. As the saying goes, it's a blessing in disguise. So, yeah, when you get a moment, or you're probably reflecting as I'm talking, but when you get a moment, and when you have a gratitude practice, I want you to try and look for those things in life that suck and find a way to love them, accept them, be grateful for them, see them as a blessing. I remember when I was really sick a couple years ago, I was like, this is a blessing. This is my body. This is God or spirit or my higher self or someone communicating to me to slow down, to stop, to rest, to give myself time because something is transitioning through me and I'm going to grow from this really painful experience. You know, I couldn't eat. I felt like I couldn't breathe because I was so swollen. Everything hurt. I couldn't sleep because everything hurt. I was struggling to rest as well. But I tried my best to see it as a blessing. I get migraines as well. And I don't like to take medications. And I will avoid them. And sometimes what I'll do instead is I'll just choose to go to bed. I'll be like, okay, body, I hear you. I hear that you're communicating to me that it's time to go be by myself and lay down and be quiet. And if it progresses to a migraine where I'm in a lot of excruciating pain, um, I just endure it and I go through it and I try to find whether I can in the moment or not. Sometimes that's hard, but I try to find the blessing in it. And I ask for help and I ask for connection and I ask for healing in those moments. And usually they come. So if that's not a reason enough to practice gratitude, I don't know what is. But I would say that the biggest reason to practice gratitude, I mean, one of the most important reasons is to actually get us to slow the F down and reflect because most of us don't do this. So I think practicing gratitude allows us to be present and actually reflect on what is going on in your life, right? Life is so fast paced and we're always go, go, go. And I've got this list as long as my arm that never, ever, ever gets shorter. So there's a lot of anxiety in the world, and gratitude helps us calm back down. And like anything, if you plant the seed, it's going to grow. I've been practicing gratitude daily for years now. It's something I do before I go to bed. And honestly, it gives me a lot of peace, especially before I fall asleep. Sometimes I will get into bed and I'll have so much swirling through my head. And I was like, whoa, what a day. I am exhausted in all of the ways and emotional as anything. And I can't stop thinking about all of these things. I need to be in a space of gratitude right now. So I grab my journal and I start to reflect on all of the beautiful, beautiful blessings in my life. And I start to write a list. Sometimes I'll write an actual entry, or one of the things on those lists I'll end up expanding on them as I'm writing because there's a lot more to express and release in that moment. And this just brings me so much more peace, especially important because I'm about to go to sleep. So I don't go to sleep thinking about all of these things that are really, really causing me a lot of anxiety. I can put them to rest. I can know that it's a blessing. I can know that I'm protected and provided for because I always am and I always have been, and I can sleep in peace. So I close my eyes, I go to sleep, and I have a beautiful sleep every single night. So when I journal what I'm grateful for, it allows me to see that I'm always okay and that things are always working in my favor, even when I feel like they might not be. And when you can do this in the private part of your life, then you start to shift this into that more public part of your life as well, into the outside world. So you'll start to then see the beauty in the things that you may not have seen before. So you can see it's planting that seed, right? As soon as you start just taking one step in that direction of gratitude, each day it grows, each day it gets bigger, each day you start to see things as more and more and more beautiful, which means you grow in acceptance, you grow in love, you grow in appreciation, in all the good things. That's going to bring in a lot of joy and peace as well. So gratitude is like a bridge or a starting point or a jumping off point to so much good stuff. But let's take a moment to go deeper into the words thank you, specifically when it comes to the Ho'oponopono. So in the practice, you'll be further releasing if there's more to come up, right? It's not like you stop releasing because you get to the words thank you and because you're focused on gratitude. If you've understood what I've said so far, you'll get that there could still be more that comes up with the words like thank you, especially in a breath practice, because you're going to be breathing, which is going to be activating, which is going to be moving a lot of energy. So it is going to cause more to come up if there's more to come up, which there probably will be. So you'll be transmuting this energy into passion and fulfillment. You'll be infusing new meaning and feelings into key memories. So if memories are coming up as you're doing this practice, as you're saying that thank you, that practicing gratitude, then it's going to change the memory for you. It's going to improve it. So when you think about it, you're not going to feel bad about it anymore. You're going to feel peace. You're working with the subconscious to transform your thoughts and your emotions into gratitude and love. That's really the brain rewiring part of it. It's like a purification process for the body and also for the mind and the spirit, which will, if you're doing the breath practices, be completed in week 4 when you get to I love you or love. And if you're just doing the whole prayer itself together, that'll come as the energy shifts as you progress through the different stages. But you are really starting a process of rewriting your story, of changing who you were into the person you want to be. So you're saying thank you for the understanding that this miracle is already underway. You're saying thank you for the transmutation of your request, whatever that may be for you, that God is bringing in for you, that your angels, that your higher self, that any guides, anyone in your world is bringing in for you. So you're giving thanks for what you have already received and what will come to you, knowing that this is what you're worthy of and that that's part of the law of nature. Like it's the law of cause and effect. You will get what you are worthy of, which is really a blessing. You're giving thanks for the freedom of the energetic chains of the past, of the thoughts, of the feelings, of the beliefs and the emotions. You're saying thank you for the ability to create what you desire, what you want, for the ability to change anything, transform anything, to upgrade anything, and the ability to step into the highest version of yourself. You're saying thank you for being the divine, for seeing the divine in you and letting anything go. So much comes with this practice and these practices. They're not simple. They're very, very deep. And it's working on a level that you're not aware of, especially when you're doing breath work. So as you sit in this space of freedom, the energy is going to get transmuted. The energy in the subconscious transforms to gratitude and love. The purification is happening. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs are changing. And that's when you can then move into the final part of the prayer, the mantra, I love you. And like I said, if you do the breath work, that'll be the fourth week, the final track that'll bring it all together. And if you're reciting the prayer itself, that space you will move into over time. So you'll say all four phrases and you'll move into them. I mean, you can absolutely work with one phrase at a time. Really just depends on you and how you'd like to practice it. But before I end the episode today, I want to remind you, if you're not already, to get started with a gratitude practice. So, how do you do this? Most commonly, just with a journal, pen and paper. I like to journal in the evening because it helps me, it gives me that opportunity to reflect on the day. I just do it when I'm in bed before I go to bed. Make a list. This is how you can start. Just make a list of all the things you're grateful for that happened to you that day. And just start there. Just see how it evolves. Maybe you start with 3 things, or maybe you start with 5 things. And then just see how it evolves. Maybe the list gets longer. Maybe you want to expand in different areas. Maybe you end up resolving a whole heap of stuff and having like releases as you're writing. There's no right or wrong way to practice it. It's just that having that intention of, I'm going to reflect on and express my gratitude for my day and my life. During the day, you also want to be reminding yourself to be grateful as well. So you can put affirmations around your home that call in gratitude, maybe a little sticky note here or there. Or maybe it's a phrase that you have, maybe it's a quote or something that reminds you to be grateful. And then, of course, you can put affirmations on your phone as well as a notification. Maybe it's just a reminder that pops up saying, what are you grateful for? Put your name in there. Your name, my name in there. Bianca, what are you grateful for? Just to really be personal. And then anytime, this is taken to another level, anytime you hear yourself complaining about something, notice it and start to think, what can I be grateful for in this moment? All right. So, like, get a speeding fine. What can I be grateful for in this moment? But more importantly, especially if you're not having a great moment in that moment, how is this moment a blessing? How is this moment serving my highest good right now? Can you actually stop yourself from complaining? Like I was in the gym earlier this week and I turned to my trainer and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to complain. This is good for me and this is why I'm here. So this is a blessing that I'm in pain right now. It's a good thing. It's why I'm here. How can you see things that you're complaining about as a blessing? All right, my love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening today. If this is the first time you've ever tuned into my podcast, thank you. And please be sure to go back and listen to the parts 1 and 2 that are before this part, which is part 3. And if you'd like, you can also download the free meditation that's linked below. It's a meditation all about the Hooponopono. So it'll give you that time to sit with the 4 phrases, the prayer itself, and just work through it. If you've got a set of mala beads, you can use those. But if you'd like to check out the breath practices, you'll also find the link below for those. You can purchase just one, or you can buy all four together. So thank you so much for being here. I am truly grateful that I'm able to be delivering this message to you today. I have no doubt that you will appear in my gratitude journal tonight as something I'm grateful for. So thanks again. Click on those links below. If you haven't signed up to my mailing list, please do that, because that way you'll get notifications about future podcasts and any other offerings, that like breathwork that I host once a month online, and the one-on-one work that I do with people as well. All right, my friend, thank you, and I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.